Hey there, welcome back to Immortal Unchained. We had a little break there, but I'm back, and it's time for lore. Naro suspended Golan's mind and soul with the help of Dakar technology. Freed from all earthly desires, Golan was able to focus entirely on his studies. Once again, I wonder who Golan is supposed to represent in the mythology that this game follows and takes inspiration from. Yes, we had a little break in Immortal Unchained because I got very, very sick. But I feel better now, and I am ready to continue our adventures in Veridian. Maybe we'll finally get out of here today. This place goes on for a while. We're gonna get a change of scenery today, thankfully. And we're also going to get some enemy potpourri as Immortal Unchained has decided to stop fucking around, let's say, when it comes to enemy variety. Yes, they have pulled out all of the stops for the end stages of Veridian, and it's alright. It's not bad. Like, I mean, it's kind of weird that they crammed every enemy type into every encounter from here on, pretty much, but it's not such a bad thing because it lets you test out your skills in a variety of environments. And that's kind of what Veridian feels like a little bit, is Veridian feels like a test to see if you know how the game expects you to play it. As I dodge around enemies with my sniper rifle and shoot them directly in the back. A thing that is definitely not how you use a sniper rifle, but in this game it works out. You're gonna see me doing that a lot, actually, to enemies that have a lot of health and don't move very fast, because it's a strategy that works pretty well. I want to give some shoutouts to the shadows in this game. Unfortunately, the PC version of this game is kind of unoptimized a little bit when it comes to shadow depth, so I have the shadows turned down to medium on this recording, because it gets kind of framey here in Veridian at high, but even with it on medium, I mean, look at the shadows of the trees, casting on walls and my character. I mean, Cyber Jacobs looks like she's actually standing in the shade of a big old tree right now, and I think that looks pretty cool. This game's got a really good aesthetic. It has a bunch of color filter stuff that I turned off, because I didn't really like how... Try that again. I didn't really like how it looked at the start, but it grew on me. But by now it has grown on me. I'm usually not a fan of color filters in games. I like the default lighting, neutral colored lighting a lot better. But it looks alright in Immortal Unchained. And hey look, we got another Imperial Executor. Executor? The Pokemon? I don't know. We got something. It's a pretty good sniper rifle. Temples ruined by war are rebuilt and torn down in endless cycles of strife. A never-ending envy festers at the core of the human soul. Well, yeah, but what about in Immortal Unchained? I'm gonna add like a rim shot sound effect there, just to punctuate my fantastic joke. It's good to be back. I haven't recorded anything in a very long time. It's been like a month and a half, and I apologize for that. But I'm trying to stay on schedule from here on, unless I get sick again, in which case, well, there's really not much I can do. You don't want me to sound like I'm 80 years old in the middle of a video. Although, with the time this Let's Play is taking me to release, perhaps I will be 80 years old by the time it's done. Who knows? Only time will tell, I guess. So the end stage of Veridian here has some pain-in-the-ass segments. It's kind of a pain in the ass, but we can mitigate that a little bit by just kind of like proceeding forward carefully. If you run directly into these ruins and into these encounters, there's going to be a lot of enemies on your tail at once. And it's best if we just kind of hang out instead of doing that. Because these Wolverine guys, as you saw in the last video, will just chew up your health and spit it out. Like, it's kind of madness. Thankfully, we have our sniper rifle now, so anything that is unlucky enough to be facing away from us is not going to be alive for very long. And of course, the poison guys are still around, but I don't know if I even showed this off, but you can shoot off their poison arm and then they turn into melee enemies until it grows back, which is neat. The human warriors who made their home in these forests became masters of shadow and poison. Feared by the other tribes, their lands were left unscarred by conflict. I suppose the slow, cruel hands of time are what ended up scarring these ruins. It makes me wonder how old these ruins actually are. Because, I mean, they're covered in vines and overgrowth and all that stuff, but for all we know, they were always that way. I mean, who can be sure? So there's a little secret hidden off the beaten path here. And we're going to see a couple of these throughout the game. We're about to pick up a unique key. The Precept Protocol. I think that's the first unique key that we found, maybe. But these unique keys, like the Precept Protocol, open up unique chests that contain unique equipment, usually. Usually it's unique equipment. Ciphers, weapons, you know, stuff like that. Or they open those portals that we've seen around that we can't actually interact with yet, in addition to a number of the normal protocols that we've been picking up. I think there's like 10 of them, and I will be finding all of them, because I'm going to be exploring everywhere. And see, that's something I like about this game, is that if you explore everywhere that you can go, you will just naturally come across everything there is to find. Like, there's nothing that you need, like, I don't know, a guide for. There's nothing you need to look at the Immortal Unchained wiki for in order to find. You just need to go everywhere. And I think that's kind of cool. Picked up another armor pattern here. This one is stripes. And look, you can actually kind of see it. How about that? Our armor upgrades are getting to the point where you can actually see the patterns and stuff now. So that's kind of cool. But by the end, the stripes and stuff will be apparent on our whole armor scheme. But right now, it's just our little waistcoat. Now, unfortunately, the sniper rifle was not as effective as I was kind of hoping it would be against these guys. As you can see, just with the boss version, just the same as the boss version, shooting them in the front is not a very good idea. But some of these guys don't present a very good angle for shooting them in the back, so we're gonna have to wait on that for a second. Now this guy, I don't know where he's going, but let's just use this armor shrine and sneak around. Hey, that's just a flat damage reduction. Armor plating is one of the better upgrades, because it's just that. Yeah, I don't know where that guy's going, but he'll be back. So the enemies in this game have generally pretty good pathfinding, but from time to time they'll just kind of go on an adventure and walk away. And I don't know where they're going, but they'll come back. We picked up a grenade launcher there. It's an energy grenade launcher, which means that it's extremely useful, actually. Energy weapons in general are very, very useful in this game, and energy grenade launchers are even more so. Yeah, see, I told you he'd be back. Unfortunately, he was smart enough to run away from all of my grenades, and he almost killed me. Like, you die fast in this game. It's easy to forget that only a couple screw-ups are all that it takes. Thankfully, we have a lot of ammo for my my big fuck-off assault rifle, because I'm gonna need it against these guys. See, there's a couple of strategies, right? You can either wait for them to do their, like, long, single burst, where they, like, recoil and then run behind them, or you could let them fire for a while and reload, or you could just run up and try to bait out their melee stomp. And the melee stomp will knock you over and probably get you killed if it hits you. But it is a viable strategy. Also, I believe these guys are immune to fire, so my little scorpions are not going to help me here. Which sucks. Because they're pretty much the best weapons I have. Also, we only got off a couple of grenades there, but hey, you know, any little bit helps. One strategy that I'm not employing that I have since learned, since recording the Let's Play, is shooting enemies in the legs. Shooting an enemy in the leg, especially these big guys, will cause them to fall over and get stumbled for a second, and then you can just do whatever the hell you want. Later on in the Let's Play, I make better use of it, but for right now, unfortunately, I was not aware of that as a strategy yet. Well, we don't have nearly enough decrees for that. I like the way this area looks. I really like the ruined temples, but no evidence anywhere of people that lived here. I don't know. I kind of like the mishmash of, like, apparently these temples were built by human hands, or this universe's analog of humans, and yet they have destroyed themselves, and so they are long gone, apparently. Hey! Nice. And there we go. One of the protocols we picked up opened up this chest, which gives us the Polaris Needlers, which are not a very good weapon, but that's fine. It's just an example, really. Now, a really annoyingly difficult boss fight is coming up at the end of Veridian here, obviously. So we're gonna spend some time leveling up and taking a look at our inventory for anything that we may be able to get our grubby mitts on to help. Got a new aspect. Got a new cipher. Makes it so that we do more damage with pistols, which is good because pistols really need the help, honestly. Take a look at some of the weapons we got here. The Sagira Destroyer, or Satira Destroyer. The Satira tribes of Veridians, of the Veridian Steppe, is that how you pronounce that? Use silenced destroyers loaded with frost rounds to hunt big game. These weapons are optimized for taking out targets separated from the herd. Now you may notice that this is not a frost weapon. This is something that's kind of weird about Immortal Unchained, is that sometimes they will claim that a weapon is a certain element, but it's not. I don't really know what's going on with that. That's kind of strange to me. The undead legions scavenge battlefields, modify weapons they find, and use them to defeat the enemies of the abyss. Standard issue grenade launchers fire explosive energy charges. So this grenade launcher has a flamethrower in case the enemy happens to get close, but flamethrowers are not especially useful in this game, unfortunately. Maybe we'll use a grenade launcher someday. I think I'm gonna save this Legion grenade launcher just in case. And of course, the Imperial Executor. Kron Outriders straddle giant beasts and patrol the outer limits of their settlements. They also carry extremely powerful marksman rifles, able to fire explosive shells from long range. And this is my baby right here. This is what people recommend you go with if you decide to go snipers in this game. This is one of the best weapons that you can get early on. Not just in raw damage as we say goodbye to the Worm Hunter rifle, but also in efficiency, basically, because it has those armor-piercing shells that do, in fact, blow up. So we're going to be getting pretty good use out of the Imperial Executor in case I need to kill something really, really fast. And last but not least, we got the Polaris Needlers. The Deagonite lack of fashion sense is especially apparent within these Arctic clans, who wear unprepared pelts to fend off the cold. Instead, their focus lies with survival. Using frost rounds combined with great combat maneuverability makes them nearly untouchable by whatever the rest of that description said. Now we're going to save the Polaris Needlers because despite saying that they're not super useful, that's only kind of the case. That's only sort of the case. They can be useful if you spec into them. This is the thing about about special damage weapons is that you kind of need to spec into them a bit. And thankfully, I guess this is a spoiler for later on, eventually we'll get the ability to respec our character. And we'll have some decisions to make on which weapons we want to carry into the later game when we get there. Oh. Through the Nexus of Vigil, Golan is able to survey the stream and gather information about the cosmos' present. Well, it's not doing so hot at the moment, let's say. Thankfully, we're here to reboot some orbs and solve that problem in the Crimson Arena. Guess why it's called that? Oh God. Here we go. The music is a little bit overwrought. However, it's warranted, because the Ravager Commander is extremely overpowered. This guy's fucking insane. This boss fight is ridiculous. I mean, I can't really even do anything right now. I mean, you can dodge through you can dodge through those waves if you're good enough, but good luck. Remember that the speed of your dodge is tied to a stat in this game, so you gotta be real careful with how you spec yourself out for this fight, cause his axe will kill me in one hit from full health, which is a cardinal sin of action games in itself. But not only that, he's got a lot of combos that leave those dust explosions on the ground. And hey, props to him, you know. Props to him for being such a hardy opponent, but God, he's so strong! The best way I found to deal with him is to bait out that attack, where he does like a combo and you can just run around behind him, but guess what? He's got friends in the back half, and in the bottom of the ninth, we're kind of doing a dance of death here, let's say. My death. So you gotta be a little bit careful, because if you get poisoned in this fight, it's pretty much game over. Like, you can't win if you get poisoned, let's be real. So you gotta sprint. Sprint for your life. It's not an especially long boss fight, but man, it's rough. It's real rough. Well, hello there. You look friendly. And like H.R. Giger designed you. Who are you? Oh.
Oh dear. I say, what a physique.
What?
I know all who traipse these parts, and you, my friend, are a new face. But whom does that bold face belong to? Silent of tongue. How odd. No stranger than most, I suppose. I am Golan, guardian of the Nexus of Vigil. I am Priam. You, however, are not. How is it so, in this time of the end, that someone such as yourself wanders the realm, and not a moment to spare? My orb was violated in the most crude of ways.
What?
Perhaps you can lay hands on my sphere and remedy its ailment. I see the culprit's face clear as day, yet I cannot put name to it.
Strange.
Go. The orb awaits you. Why do you linger?
Good question. Why do we linger? Maybe it's because Golan is an interesting guy. I like Golan. He's an interesting fellow to talk to. So for defeating the boss, we got a bunch of crap. Look at all that stuff. We'll take a look at all that stuff a little bit later. For now, I think it's time we touch an orb. And learn some lore also. A font of fleeting knowledge, incomprehensible to the mortal mind. Guarded by Golan, wisest of Prime. The Nexus has been a destination for human pilgrimages throughout history. I mean, I would make a pilgrimage to see Orb. It looks pretty cool to me. Welcome back, Orb.
One now remains. All three orbs must be restored. Go find the last. The humans saw the Nexus as a link to the gods. They were always a problem for us, but who can fault them? Simple minds turn to divinity when encountering questions they cannot answer.
I guess that's true in some sense. I gotta say, I'm growing a little bit unnerved about these visions we're receiving from the orbs. Hopefully the third one clears things up a little bit. Let's talk to Golan a little more, because he seems like a pretty cool dude. Pretty chill guy. How's it going, buddy?
With grace and dignity, I took on the role of Watcher of this orb. Come, do not fear. Approach it.
Ah, that's alright, I'll pass.
Did you feel that tingle where such tingle rarely ventures?
What?
Looking past our reality is always a treat. To know things exist beyond the here and now, that there are unexplained phenomena beyond our realm, always brings joy to me.
I guess it is kind of weird that there's real actual divinity in this universe.
Said that some could interact with the monolith. But to see that you have, that is truly spectacular. And so that must be the reason you are here. To bring solace to the monolith. For I can see it struggles. I bid you good fortune, for all will benefit if the monolith can restore order. We shall speak yet again, my young friend.
Well, thanks, buddy. I guess I'll see you in the great beyond. By which I mean the hub. I don't know if the hub really counts as the great beyond. Anyway, let's get the hell out of here. I'm kind of tired of Veridian. Veridian goes on for a very long time. Notice that I haven't cut very much of our journey out, but also notice that I've played a lot of this game. Now, I wouldn't call Veridian like a slog or anything, because I mean, it's a pretty cool area with a lot of interesting gimmicks and things to see and do. However, I would say that it kind of overstays its welcome. The good news, however, is that I've mentioned a couple times now that we will be coming back to all of these areas we've been visiting so far. But Veridian is kind of done in the opposite order of the others, where you get the most of Veridian out of the way first. And then next time we return, it will only be a short detour to the next new area. Compared with, say, Arden, for example, where the short part was first and the long part will be next. It's kind of an interesting reversal. I just wish they'd done it with a more interesting area. The Jungle Warriors of Veridian are known for their acrobatic fighting style and venomous concoctions. These warriors of myth are feared by their human brethren, for rumors say, well, that went too fast for me to read. One problem with the lore text in this game is that it doesn't stick around for very long. You may have noticed that I kind of have to speed myself along when I'm reading these things, because they don't stay on the screen. Oh. So we got one of my favorite guns in the early game just now, the Thunder Guard Enforcer, which is inexplicably a fire weapon. I guess fire is how you enforce things when you are a Thunder Guard. Sick revolvers are cool in all video games, but they are especially cool in this video game. especially with that cipher aspect that makes it so that you deal more damage with pistols. Like I said, the pistols kind of need them, but once you get pistols and SMGs up in damage a little bit, they become a very, very useful tool to have in your arsenal. Our slowly expanding arsenal. I think we've got one of each weapon type now, pretty much. But I think what we have is going to tide us over for a little while. Obviously, I'm going to be taking a look at everything that we encounter. Everything that we pick up along the way. However, Immortal Unchained at some point kind of expects you to pick something. Like I said, eventually we'll gain the ability to respec, but not for a very, very long time. And though Immortal Unchained has a higher focus on like a generic character build where leveling up everything is beneficial, it really rewards you for specializing as well. Home to the Nexus of Vigil, the forest was revered as a holy place by the human natives. Though not fully realizing the importance of the Nexus, they still turned to its guardian for guidance. Which I suppose in this case was Golan, which was a good choice on their part, considering that Golan is the keeper of knowledge and all that stuff. Shame about getting his head cut off. That was kind of an unfortunate misunderstanding. I mean, but it's nice to see that it hasn't really affected him any, I guess. I get, you know, it's funny. Getting your head cut off seems like it would be more than a minor inconvenience. But I guess in the cyber-techno future, it doesn't really matter, does it? Cyber-techno future alternate universe. I'm not going to say that I would like to live in the universe in which Immortal Unchained takes place, because even before the humans were long gone, this sounded like it really sucked. Boy, those plants that poison you and try to eat your ankles really seem like they'd be a hassle on your way to get milk from the store. I don't know. Like, I'm not going to say I would have liked to live in this universe, but having the ability to be turned into a head and still be alive, that sounds pretty cool. It's like that Futurama thing about heads in jars. You'd think that it wouldn't be fun to be a head in a jar, but they seem to be loving life. Especially that Richard Nixon head in a jar. More lore! Give me more lore! And another one of those doors we can't open because we don't have enough protocols. Locked in a duel, Enar Ashbourne and the Prime Champion battled for days. Finally bested, Enar welcomed the release of death and prepared to return to his wife's side. I don't know what that pertains to. I don't know if that ever actually comes up again. Maybe in one of the collectibles that drops from enemies, or the description of one of the Ashbourne weapons. But I guess that's just a little snippet of this Prime Champion doing battle. I wonder if the Prime Champion is supposed to be Orin. I imagine probably not, because Orin sucks, as we've learned. But if we entertain the idea of Orin being a competent warrior instead of crap, I guess it could reasonably be him. Although I suppose in that case he would be just one of many champions. I wonder if he's supposed to be like the Doom guy of this universe. Fighting demons with his bare hands and all that stuff. Doesn't even need a gun. Except for the fact that he's now in the Great Hereafter. I mean, listen. I tried, okay? But keeping Orin alive is very difficult. So this is interesting. This is a weird little shortcut here. Now that we have come at these doors that we encountered earlier from behind, they are unlocked. And now we can open them and see that there are enemies everywhere, and I'm not going to go over there. No fucking thanks. I don't know why you would ever want to use that shortcut, because you have to run through half of the area to get there in the first place, and it doesn't actually lead anywhere except for that gutter full of poisoned exploding dudes. So I'm really not sure what the point is. I don't know. I guess it's just to add a little bit of extra interconnectivity, because I mean, they have this area, they have this cave area made, they might as well link it up. Because if it passes so close, you know, Why not, right? By the way, a piece of advice for you. Don't fire a grenade launcher at an enemy that's about a foot away from you. It's not gonna work out. I don't know, I just wanted to kill 2 birds with 1 stone, and I almost ended up killing 3 birds with 1 stone. Myself being one of said birds. It's funny, like, so far, the greatest danger that has been presented to me in Immortal Unchained has been myself. Blowing myself up with grenade launchers, walking off of cliffs, walking directly into the line of fire or into enemies' weapons, all that stuff. It's kind of interesting. It's kind of interesting how this is another one of those games where you are your own worst enemy. But thankfully, preparedness and foresight can help you out, especially when it comes to ambushing enemies who don't know you're there yet. This is something that I kind of wish Immortal Unchained did a little bit more of, is Immortal Unchained has a lot of those, I'm fine with calling them Souls-style setups, where you walk into a room, there are enemies there, and you shoot them. And, hold on, I'll finish that in a second. The Prime would visit the realm of men to ensure their continued worship. Their arrival would be celebrated for weeks, and their departure mourned for at least as long. Big name celebrities, these Prime. Anyway, what was I saying? Right. Immortal Unchained has a lot of those Souls-style encounter setups where you walk into a room or into an area and there's 5 or 6 enemies in various places, and it's up to you to determine the best order to tackle them in, depending on your loadout and your stats and your preparedness in items and equipment. But sometimes they present you with a more open-ended experience where you can go pretty much wherever and you can tackle an area in a pretty open order, a pretty organic way. And I wish it did more of that. I think the game would be better if it tapped into the open world nature a little bit more. Well, hey, a nice fat shortcut back to the very start of the forest. Very nice. Got ourselves another defense cipher here. This one is really useful. Grit is one of the more useful ciphers. It makes it so that when you heal, or when you are healing, you are basically impossible to stumble, and you have damage reduction. So it makes the way that I heal, you know, healing directly in the line of fire like an idiot, a viable play strategy, which is nice. Worm Hunter Demolisher is another grenade launcher. The hunters of Dagon use frost grenades to harry their prey before going in for the kill. They favor grenade launchers customized for long-range efficiency to deliver the debilitating charges. And, yes, this one actually does frost damage. But I don't want it, because we already have the Legion grenade launcher. Sorry, grenade launchers. And of course, Thunder Guard Enforcer. There it is. Humans have learned to modify and renew old technologies to create effective weapons derived from arcane designs. The Enforcer is a powerful, yet light handgun. Infamous for its low rate of fire, it compensates with potent armor-piercing rounds and high accuracy, and boy, it sure does. This thing fires pretty slow, but it sure is a good blat cannon. As revolvers generally are in video games. Clear out some of the chaff here. And another SMG, the Raven's Talons. The Ravens are a covert group of highly accomplished assassins who remain in abyss stasis chambers until personally activated by their queen. They traditionally use silenced submachine guns that can deal astonishing amounts of damage to outmaneuvered enemies. And in fact, that is the truth. These things do utterly ridiculous damage. Not just because they're energy weapons. God, I think I'm having a computer malfunction here in my brain chip. Not just because they're energy weapons, but also because they fire at a million billion rounds per minute. SMGs in this game are pretty great. So coming back into the cave on the way out here, here's the beacon that Orin was talking about. Unfortunately, we're not going to get the chance to activate such a beacon in the normal playthrough because he is deceased. But here's what happens if you do that if you have rescued him.
Drawn I was to this very point, by the buzzing. Zzz, zzz. Get out of my head. Can it be? 'Tis here. 'Tis here, the path to lead from this nightmare. Do you hear that? Malicious intent, like a trumpet blowing its hatred. Beast will not let me be free.
And he's attacked by these guys once again. Thankfully, there is a little bit more room to dodge them this time around instead of being trapped in a corner and camped to death. So, hey, makes my life a little bit easier. And with that, Orin is saved. Thankfully.
I've shed myself of his entangling roots. I am free.
We will see you back at the hub, my friend. In this continuity, not in the normal continuity. Sorry, Orin. The stream flows through the monolith, connecting all realms to the great machine. The monolith keeps the cosmos in balance and directs the ever-shifting ways of the stream. So I guess the monolith is kind of like a motherboard kind of thing. Or a hard drive? Something like that. There's a lot of computer analogies you could make with the monolith, I guess. Which might be part of the point? I don't know. It'd be interesting to see what the computer tech inspiration for the monolith actually was. Maybe the monolith is supposed to represent the user. That would be weird. Maybe we were the monolith all along. So there's another obelisk over here. I didn't use this one, I don't think, because it mostly serves as a shortcut out of this hellhole. But if we look down here in this pool of water, you might have noticed that we have company down there that I said we would take care of a little later. And unfortunately, I've put it off long enough and it's time to tango with the big man. I'm going to make you aware that this is a very bad idea if you happen to be a new player of Immortal Unchained. If this is your first time through the game, I would advise you to leave this man for the return trip. But me, I'm foolhardy enough. I'm strong enough. I'm brave enough to fight this man and win, to succeed on the fields of battle. Against overwhelming odds, frost weaponry, and... oh, I'm dead. Oh. Well, let's try that again, shall we? So the Amber Monarch is one of the first optional bosses. This game has a couple of those where they are like souped up versions of normal enemies. This guy obviously is a souped up version of the shield enemies that we fought later on in Veridian. You don't have to fight this guy. It gives pretty good rewards if you do, especially this early on in the game. But as I think I have just demonstrated, it's not a very good idea. However, if you play squirrely enough, it's alright. He's got this seemingly never-ending horde of exploding guys keeping him company down here in the acid pit, and he is only slightly vulnerable to acid himself, so they mostly serve as an obstacle for you. Eventually they stop spawning, but then he gets a little faster, so this fight clearly is stacked against your favor this early on. You don't want to take on this dude until you're ready, unless you're willing to die a whole bunch. You gotta remember that there's not really a penalty for dying in this game if you don't care about the bits you're carrying around. So what you can do is just spend them at the obelisk up there so that you don't have any to lose. And then you're good. However, if you come prepared enough and with high enough damaging weapons, I guess he's not so bad, as long as you don't ever get hit by his hammer. Because you're not gonna have a good time. Take that, Amber Monarch. Give me that chest. I earned it. Oh, man. I only died once to him in the recording, but on my own time, on my first playthrough, I think you can imagine that my stubborn desire to obtain the rewards early did not serve me very well. And with that said and done, let's get the hell out of here. I'm so tired of Veridian. I would very much like to go anywhere else. With that, we say goodbye to Veridian for now. We didn't explore those volcanoes on the horizon, but maybe on the return trip. For now, we have bigger fish to fry, friends to talk to at the hub, and a new location to explore. So I'll see you next time.